All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back to another edition of PHLY Union podcast. A lot to get to here today. Ali Bedoya is back. Jack Elliott is not, unfortunately, and we need to have that uncomfortable conversation as MLS fans. Is Apple TV doing us a disservice or a service to our sport that we love here so much? But of course, I'm one of your hosts, JP Zapata, joined as always with the lovely Renee Washington. We have Andrew Frazier behind the glass here today. Renee, how are you doing on this? It's actually, honestly, Renee, it's a nice Tuesday, I would say, after a couple days of rain here in the Philadelphia area.
It is. I actually went outside in between shows because I wanted to get
Ooh.
some fresh air since we are remote. It's gorgeous outside.
Yes.
Thankful for that. So, I mean, I feel like the weather drastically changes my mood and how I'm feeling. So normally on a day like today with the news that we're talking about, I'd be very bah humbug. But given the sunny, warm weather, I'm okay. I'm okay. How are you, JP?
The weather's not bringing you down, Renee. I love that.
No.
Absolutely not. I'm doing good. Listen, it's the holiday season. Got to have that holiday cheer and joy as we're heading into the final days of 2024.
15.
Ooh. There you of course, have the countdown going. I love it.
8 days until Christmas because Christmas is next Wednesday. And then 15 days until officially 2025. So we are in the final 15 days of 2024. Crazy.
There we go. If I may, Renee, if I could start off with the rants here today, I'm out on the midday Christmas. I don't like that. Don't like the midweek. I'm sorry, the midweek Christmas. I'm saying because
I love it actually.
You like the midweek Christmas?
So here's why. Okay, obviously it stinks because we're adults now, so we don't get winter breaks. So it's kind of awkwardly like you have off Tuesday and Wednesday, but then you're working Monday, Thursday, and Friday. But I like that you actually get your weekends. So sometimes when Christmas is on the weekend, I feel like it just takes, you're off typically that like Friday. You actually get no days off, I should say, because you're going to be off on the weekend. So I kind of like it because you get extra days. I wish it was like Tuesday, so you'd have Monday and Tuesday, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm taking some PTO after Christmas, but I think it actually works. And we get both weekends now, JP. Think about it that way.
Oh, okay.
You can do Christmas things the weekend before and the weekend after.
You're not completely wrong. I mean, I just got the text this morning from my wife. It's like, hey, I know you got a couple of days off after New Year's, so a trip you want to take? And I'm like, now you're speaking my language. All right.
Exactly.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Well, Renee, let's go. Actually, Ivan, listen, look at that. Ivan already.
Hi, Ivan.
Wishing us season greetings. What's up, Ivan? Hopefully, you got some good stuff here today. It's always good seeing you in the chat. And of course, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, throw it in the chat. We have a lot of interesting topics here today. But Renee, I figured let's start off this one on a good note. I think it's fair to start on a good note. I want to start with the captain, the OG captain. He's always going to be everyone's favorite captain, Alejandro Bedoya. He's here for another year, Renee. This is absolutely wild. So Ali signed on for the 2025 season, and he obviously will be in the dressing room, but he's going to continue his leadership and his front office role as well, as he began in 2024 as a player professional development role and as the player development and front office specialist. So he'll be working in obviously the different departments. So we kind of talked about this before. He graduated from the Wharton School over in UPenn there.
I believe so.
He's got that business background, so it would make sense for him to kind of take on more.
Harvard.
I'm sorry. I know that's a big deal for my Ivy Leaguers.
Well, Boston College for his bachelor's, and then Harvard Business School is where else has a degree.
That is correct. And of course, so we talked about it before because obviously, like, he is a great leader. Like, he does instill motivation into a lot of players, but because of the fact that he has that background, it makes more sense for him to be in a front office role. So it's good to see Alejandro Bedoya back in. We've talked about it before. It does seem like there's going to be some turnover within the squad. It's already happening right now as we speak. So I think it is crucial to have someone with a solid voice, a concrete voice within the dressing room like Alejandro Bedoya. He'll be back for 2025, Renee.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of positives here for Ali specifically. As we talk about his degree and his background academically, he also has experience working in a variety of different roles. He's a co-chairman for Athlete Venture Group at the 76 Capitol. He's on the board for Live Work Philadelphia. He's a co-chair of Philadelphia Soccer 2026. He has other roles that he holds, even becoming and actively involved with the 2026 FIFA World Cup around Philly hosting. So
That's right.
Alex in his like transitional era of his career where he's slowly tapping into the degrees he has, but also the experience and the interest he has to be a part of the community and part of the business aspect of Philly sports. And so I think to see last year's success in that role, listen, he was someone that didn't make or break the Union. You know, he didn't hurt you, he didn't help you. He was solid. I think he's come such a long way from 2016 when he was a DP to now of how he's progressed. But heading into another year, it's incredible to see the tenure, the longevity of what he's been able to do with the Union. I mean, third most assists in club history, second most shots. He's also one of 4 players that have scored 20 goals and had 20 assists. And he's always had an impact on this team, as you mentioned, beyond just stats and playing in his leadership role. So I think if you look at 2024 and the 30 appearances he made, he had 13 starts, 2 goals, 4 assists. He was a solid role player. He was a solid leader, and they're going to need stability heading into 2025. That's the other thing. So with all the changes we're seeing from Jim Curtin to Jack Elliott and more that could be happening, you're going to need some stability. You're going to need somebody that's helping to build the culture and the foundation of who the Union are for next season. And I feel like Ali, as long as he's comfortable still playing, as long as he still feels good about himself physically and mentally at 37 years old, I do think why not allow him to continue staying in that role and see if you can build around the future of what the Union are going to be. So I was happy about this news. I know I reached out to Ali and said gave my kind words and everything, because I think it's great. He's someone that is such a backbone of the Union, and they need, in this tumultuous time, they need someone that can be steady and consistent that they can really count on, honestly.
No, absolutely. I mean, like the one thing that we've always talked about with the Union, the one thing that they always do talk about over in that front office is continuity. And obviously when you lose Jim Curtin and when you lose the player we're going to talk about in just a little bit, you want something that provides continuity. Now I know Daniel Gazak will be back, Michael will be back. There's a lot of players that will be back. But when you're talking about vocal leaders within the dressing room, I mean, who is more prominent than Alejandro Bedoya? And you saw, I mean, last year was like the first real season where he really took a relegated role in that squad. I mean, I'd have to look at his numbers, but obviously he was pretty much a sub coming off the bench. Got a couple starts, obviously. We're talking about rotation and injuries in the lineup, so he kind of fit in there. But, that's really what he is now. I mean, he's not the same player that came into the league from Nantes. I can argue with anyone if anyone wants to argue this, but he is the biggest signing in Union history, in my opinion, when you consider, where he was at in his career, when you consider who he is as an American soccer player. And I mean, you kind of see over his tenure here with the Union, I mean, he's been one of the most important players thus far in his Union career. So I like this move. It's for me, it's like more of a nostalgic move. I know a lot of fans will be like, yeah, we got Ali back, because everyone obviously knows Alejandro Bedoya, but Ali's role now going forward is going to be more crucial behind the scenes than it is on the pitch like it has been in the past. So it is definitely good to have here. And obviously, look, whoever the manager is going to be, Renee, I mean, one key part of going into somewhere new is having someone you can trust that is like a manager like Alejandro Bedoya.
And that's the key. That's why I think it was so important for them to be able to bring him back in this role. As a player professional development role, as someone that's a front office specialist, he's going to be able to be the bridge for the new manager. So I know we were talking a lot about his leadership in the sense of how it impacts the players directly, but you're also going to need that person that can be the liaison and help the new head coach and help the new, again, as they're building a new culture, a new direction, someone that's been in the trenches, that can be vocal, that can speak up. And given his experiences outside of playing, as we talked about, from his academics to the work he does around the soccer community, he has a good pulse check on being very realistic, being very aware, being outspoken. So I know, Joe, as you're saying, like, Bedoya back is great news. You do need the leadership, and you need someone that can help you out, and you can't have too many changes. It's going to already be The back line's going to change. Head coach is going to change. You can't have too many changes because that sometimes makes things messy of just chaos and, the team trying to figure so much out in such a little bit amount of time. So I do hope and that this will be a positive for whoever the new coach is, that they can lean on Ali Bedoya.
Absolutely. Bedoya back because we need a babysitter. Give me all that content, that content with Nate and Jack. I love seeing that type of stuff. Obviously, Ali's the old head, as they say, in the dressing room. He's got a bunch of young bulls around him, so it's always fun seeing the dynamic kind of play
and
out.
Franco makes a good point. You want to see him go out on his terms, but also on a positive. Like last season, it's the same thing with Brandon Graham and the Eagles. There are guys that when they have such a long seasoned, experienced, successful career, you want to see them whenever they do decide to step away, on their own terms, but also be able to step away and feel good. Be able to leave and knowing, okay, I've done all I can do. I've accomplished all I can. And the ideal is you step away after you win a championship. But the next best thing is you have a really great final season of success, fun, little to no drama, little to no injuries. So, yes, I agree. And I want to say what's up to Michael because happy to have you here also. So hopefully this season can be him going out on his terms on a positive.
On a positive, be great. And to be fair, Renee, we did try to send him off with the championship, but it didn't work out too much in our favor there.
Yes, it didn't. 2022 could have and should have been the year.
Oh, man. And he tried to play. That's the thing. He tried to play, but it just did not make sense for him to go out there, not 100%. No. Bedoya is 1,000% going into the Ring of Honor. And, look, there's still one more player on the squad currently that's still playing that from this era, to me, surefire Ring of Honor. And obviously Jim just got the axe. I think he is surefire Ring of Honor. Bedoya is one of those guys. I think so.
Jim?
Yeah.
I think he should. I'm just, yeah.
When he, and I know people are going to probably have their own arguments of why he shouldn't be in there. But when you think about, it's still a young club and he kind of set the standard for management in this town, especially for the sport. We talked about before the ambassador of it all. The stats speak for itself. Obviously played in some big matches as well. So I think for those reasons, he should be in the Ring of Honor. And then the last one, obviously, Andre Blake. Let me explain that one.
Easy.
Hands down, he should be in there as well. All right. So, Renee, before we dive into the next storyline here that we had over the week, because, guys, there was some good stuff here throughout the week. Let's talk about some of our friends real quick here over here at PHLY Union. That's right. And Renee, I want to start off here by talking about our friends over here at Rite Aid. All right. So full disclosure, Renee was calling me out before the show. Okay. Because I was, just finishing up jotting down a couple bit of notes, and all she heard was and she asked me if I was sick. I was like, Renee, I promise you I'm not sick. Okay. I'm not, but you're right. I shouldn't be sniffling like this. So it made me think, you know what? I need to head over to my local Rite Aid, right? Because I need the tissues, I need the Kleenex. So, I don't want to keep sniffling away. It's important to blow out the nose, ladies and gentlemen, every once in a while. We made the joke last week of my crazy father and his crazy Colombian tactics when it comes to the cold and the flu, the Vipapuru, the Vicks vapor rub. If you guys need that, I have a tube right now in my room that I use every now and then when I have my sinuses all clogged up. It's super helpful. And of course, all the over-the-counter medications Rite Aid has is covered. But if you would like to get your vaccinations for flu shots or COVID-19, that's still around there as well. Rite Aid's our spot. And of course, they have the very helpful pharmacists that are there to answer any of your questions that you maybe have, and they can even help you schedule your appointment for your vaccination. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are feeling it, right, because obviously, look, Renee talked about in 8 days, we got Christmas, New Year's 15 days away. So I don't want myself, and I want you guys to miss it as well. So make sure you guys head up riteaid.com and of course find your local Rite Aid and all the vaccinations, all that good stuff from your local neighborhood Rite Aid.
Yes, as everyone is getting sick around the office, which I don't appreciate. But what I do appreciate is the ability to be financially responsible and preparing for your future the right way. And with Trumark Financial Credit Union, they give you the tips that you need. Better rates, lower fees. They also have tremendous benefits such as their ability for you to track and manage your credit score, online banking so you can make transactions and pay bills from anywhere, anytime, but also the ability to help your kids and teens learn how to be financially responsible themselves. You can set up for your kids and teens the Greenlight account. And through the Greenlight app, it's changing the game. It is allowing kids to learn how to save, spend wisely, earn, even to be able to have an allowance so they can track their spending, they can set up savings goals, and they can also get a debit card so that with their very own debit card, they can swipe, scan, tap, and make purchases, just giving them a chance to learn real world money skills. So this holiday season, it's a great time to gift something, the gift that keeps on giving. You learn financial responsibility at a young age. It goes such a long way. And as a parent, you can now give them the proper coaching, the guidance, the advice, because you're giving them peace of mind, confidence, independence, but also knowing you can also track and stay up to date from your phone how they are managing their finances. So this holiday season, it's perfect time to gift your kids and teens the chance of being financially responsible. And you can do that through the Greenlight account. It is free if you are a member of Trumark Financial Credit Union. So if you'd like to get signed up today for a free Greenlight account for your kids and teens, visit trumark.com/greenlight for more information today.
I love it. All righty. Well, Renee, let's move on. Let's talk about the other tidbit that we got over the past couple of days. And yes, a more news signifying the end of an era that we all enjoyed so much. But ladies and gentlemen, you can officially say goodbye to our dear friend, Jack Elliott, because our man got a deal. And of course, we don't have the financials, but we had the years on this deal. But it was announced yesterday that the Chicago Fire and him have agreed to terms. Obviously, he was a free agent, so he goes on a free over to Chicago. This is a deal that's going to run through this entire season. There is an option for 2026, so it could be a 2-year deal. Obviously, there can be extensions and whatnot. But two quotes I want to read to you guys. And first is from the statement that Chicago Fire had out here with Jack Elliott. I'm so sorry. So Jack said, "I am genuinely excited for the next chapter at the Chicago Fire. I believe in the vision this organization has for this coming year and this club future as a whole. I've never had a problem with being the underdog, and I can't wait to get to work with the group to prove everyone what we are capable of." Now, obviously, not very spicy, right, Renee? It's not very, very lukewarm. But if you want the spice, got it for you. All right.
Oh yeah, give us the tea.
The tea, you got to go to Instagram for the tea, okay? You can't just go to club websites for a tea, okay, Renee? You got to go to Instagram. So, all right, so Jack Elliott, obviously, listen, being the class act that he is, he had a nice little Instagram post saying goodbye to Philadelphia. Now, just the first sentence alone, guys, after months of back and forth, and 8 years with the club, I'm disappointed to announce my time in Philadelphia has come to a close. Philadelphia has become a home to me, but the time has come where I have to stay true to myself and know my own worth. Looking back on the time with the Philadelphia Union, I feel immensely proud of the steps forward we took, the things we accomplished when no one believed we could. From the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, I'm proud I carried myself throughout my time here. And each experience has shaped me into the man and player I am today. I have made lifelong friendships here, and I will miss my teammates who were with me through it all. I wore the Philadelphia Union badge with pride, and I never took a second for granted. And I thank every fan, teammate, coach, and trainer involved in my journey. From a 4th-round pick to where I am now, it's time I bet on myself, and I truly believe this is just the beginning for me. I am incredibly excited and hopeful for what is ahead. It is goodbye for now. I have a piece of my heart in Philadelphia. Thank you, Union. So let's be real now, Renee. So like the thing is you and I have had this discussion. Like this move felt inevitable. Like it did not feel Jack and Jakob could be together again for another season. And after the gym news happened, like it was clear, the writing on the wall, like we're moving forward. We're going to start transitioning to the new era of Union soccer. So like him leaving is not necessarily shocking and it's not necessarily upsetting. Obviously you feel for the player, you love what he did and how he represented the badge. But at the end of the day, business is business. And what business said is that these two needed to separate. But the fact is that like Jack gave it his all for this club. And if you're talking about the moniker of Union soccer, this is the perfect type of player. A 4th-round draft pick, from West Virginia. It's not a soccer powerhouse in college athletics, But he came in here, worked his butt off, stole the job from Austin Trusty and Renee. I put this on Twitter. Think about it. If Gareth Bale didn't put Jack Elliott in that position, we're talking about Jack Elliott, MLS Cup final MVP. And now 2 years later, we're talking about breaking up the center back duo. And now he's going to Chicago on a deal that he's going to have to go prove himself. It is crazy how things can quickly change in sports. But like, I'm happy that he's going out and betting on himself, but I think that this is what needed to happen.
Yeah, it was time. It was time. And to be honest, there's several layers here that his post alone made me kind of put in perspective. First things first is Jack now gets a chance to join Greg Berhalter and Chicago as they're in a rebuild. So you want to talk about your worth, your value. You can take that experience he's had with the Union of someone, as you mentioned, that's been a big time player for them in big moments. You look at the 2019 first ever playoff victory that they had against New York Red Bulls, the 4-3 comeback, the goal Jack scores, the goals and his involvement in the 2022 MLS Cup final, of course, helping them throughout the course of his tenure in terms of being able to be a playoff team, win the Supporters' Shield, all the things that Jack Elliott was a part of with the Union. And he was one that, much like I mentioned with Ali Bedoya, has been here in the trenches, helping them go from a club that was just in the league to a club that was top of the league, a club that you're paying attention to, a club that has a tremendous fan base that's actively following and excited about this team and games that are exciting. He left it all out there. And this past season, he was one of the guys, Gless is another. There were a couple others throughout the lineup that you felt like something was off. And as you hear from his post, months and months, how long has Jack Elliott been feeling undervalued, underappreciated? And if anybody ever knows what that's like in your own job and experiences, it's difficult to show up every day as yourself 100% when you don't feel like the people around you truly value and respect you. And with the way that the Union tend to work out their contracts and their pay, it makes me feel like he's not the only one feeling this way. We've already seen Jose Martinez, obviously Damian Lowe moved on. Like, it makes me wonder who else is feeling this way. Who else is feeling undervalued and underappreciated? This blue collar mindset is great, but that blue collar mindset doesn't help players that deserve to be paid, deserve bigger contracts, to feel like this is a place they want to stay. And that's something I know we've had conversations around. If there is a ripple effect right now of frustration of guys just feeling like, I give my heart and soul for this team and I deserve to get paid accordingly and I'm not, or I deserve to get even just the, maybe the recognition in that sense. And your contract, your pay is that direct recognition of how a club values you. So for him to move on to Chicago and have this opportunity with them, I am happy for him because he doesn't deserve to be here feeling underappreciated. He's still in a great part in his career. He's just 29 years old, has a lot of soccer that he should have left. He's played so many games, so he does have a lot of wear and tear and mileage on the tank, so to speak. But he's also still very talented. He's also a top defender in this league. He's also experienced, great size, great agility. It just was evident this season that he was not mentally and physically all there. And again, him and Glesnes are the first two I can point to that I look back on this season, and between the ears, you can tell something was wrong, something was off. The mistakes, the uncharacteristic plays, even the fact defensively they gave up so many goals. And part of that was the fact that the Union have continued to run it back with the same defensive unit and tendencies and tactics. Part of it, in my opinion, is also exactly this. They're not happy. So there are guys that are not happy fully. I don't know exactly who they are. I'm not in the locker room, so I'm not saying this from, a source, but I'm saying this based off of, this is not the first time you've heard a guy on the Union take to social media to voice frustrations this season. Jose looking at you, Kai looking at you. There are clearly things going on culturally in the locker room that has some of these Union veterans, especially, feeling like this is not a place I can see myself anymore. So I know for the Fire with their announcement, they talked a lot about how the signing immediately strengthens their back line. They're excited to welcome him. Of course, the contributions on and off the field to help them take steps. But even for Jack, as he mentioned, he's genuinely excited for this next chapter with the Fire. He believes in the vision that they have for the upcoming year. He believes in the future of this club as a whole. He says, I've never had a problem with being the underdog. I can't wait to get to work with this group. So when you think about it, the buy-in, the vision, the future of this club, that is something you felt like better fit with the Fire to move on. So now it takes me back to my original point. What is going on with the Philadelphia Union? Not only are you losing players, but it's not it doesn't seem amicable. And I mean, it's peaceful, it's professional, of course, but there's more than meets the eye with what's really going on behind the scenes with the union. And it absolutely makes me concerned.
Absolutely. So a couple of comments here. I know a lot of fans are from Michael Wolfinger. I know a lot of fans are bummed out over this, but either Jack or Jakob had to go. He wasn't going to get paid more after the season we had. I'm glad he got what he needed with this move. And then Ivan says, Gleznes and Jack got a lot of criticism this season. Although their performances weren't as good as recent years, I can't help but think that selling Martinez midseason and Blake being injured. Yeah, Ivan, we talked about that way too much throughout the season, but honestly, when you were missing El Brujo and when Andre was out, they really got exposed. I mean, the back line looked lost for a lot of the season. And I agree with you. Like, Gleznes took more steps back than Jack, but unfortunately, the way the business worked, Jack's contract was up before him. And the fact that he said that they were working on this deal, Jack and the union were working on a deal for months. So he clearly did not want to go anywhere. And I'm going to use a Philly sports reference here, Renee. The Philadelphia Eagles, the reason why they have been so good for so long is obviously Howie's done a great job building that team. But you know what Howie does really good, Renee? He knows how to create a good environment and an environment that people can keep thriving. So, like, a lot of the times he signs the veteran players to long-term deals, but if they're getting close to that salary cap, what he'll do, because he already has that trust with his players, he will restructure their deals so that way they can ease up the cap for that year that they're on and expand it throughout the following years. But he has that trust. He has built up that trust, and he knows the value of his players. And I think everyone could probably agree with this. I don't think the union feel the same way or have the same type of mentality that Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles have. There's a reason why the Eagles have been so successful for a decade now. It's things like that. And so I get it. Like, this was inevitable. Jack was going to leave Philly and Chicago was the right place for him. But like, at some point, you have to create that culture and you have to be able to create that trust within those players. Because, Renee, as you know, professional athletes, they talk. Talk? They talk with everyone amongst the league. And obviously the sport is so international. They're going to talk to players outside this country as well. So it's extremely important that going forward in this new era of union soccer, that you create that trust with those players. If those players have put their heart, sweat, and tears into the badge, into the crest, then you gotta pay them back for it.
8 seasons with the Philadelphia Union. It should not even take all this back and forth to restructure a deal. You know, that's exactly to your point. The little things that the front offices that do well, that thrive to create a positive, welcoming culture for their players are the ones that get it. Because to me, if it's going back and forth, that means you don't, like he said, you don't value me. You don't really want me here. You're not willing to pay to keep me here. So as a player, why would you want to be here? Why would you feel valued? If it takes all that back and forth, it shouldn't even require all that conversation. It should be as simple as, listen, you've been here for 8 years. You are someone that we highly want to build for in the future around. We're going to offer you this, or you're going to be very honest in saying the opposite. It's been 8 years. We feel like we want to move in a different direction. This is all we can offer you at this time. And we understand if you don't want to take that deal, and we understand if you want to move on. But the way you have these conversations, especially for someone that's been there for 8 seasons, that's helped you get to the MLS Cup, win Supporters Shield, get to the playoffs year after year, you need to have the respect. Ali dealt with this last year. Jack Elliott clearly dealt with it this year. Why is it that you have... So unfortunately, I've had and seen coaches that typically overvalue the young players. And then almost it's kind of like the new puppy versus the older dog. Once you get to a certain point, they don't care about you. They don't care about you anymore. They've used you up. You're old now. You're not as cute and flashy and as exciting. And they move on to the young pup. And I get that vibe sometimes from some of these comments and behaviors around the union and wonder just how much they have that mentality of, well, we've got these new exciting puppies, the Union 2 players, for example, not even the Nates, Jacks, and Quinns, the Union 2 players, that's who our focus is on. Forget the veterans that helped us get here. Forget the guys that have played 200 plus games and been out there every minute. So it's unfortunate because there's a right and a wrong way to go about these conversations. You can still be cheap, but you have to still be professional and respectful. And the disrespect is apparent for the veterans. And unfortunately, it's lost them players. And unfortunately, as you mentioned, they are talking. You think Jack's not telling Jakob and Kai or whoever else, Andre, Ali, about these frustrations? You know, these are, as he mentioned, lifelong friendships, your best friends, your brothers. I'm sure there's conversation being had. And that's what's going to change the culture of this club as being a place that's a stepping stone versus a final destination for players. If they know, okay, the first few years, I'm going to be highly touted and played. And then once I get to year 5, 6, 7, whatever the number may be, all of a sudden I'm going to be undervalued, underappreciated, underpaid, and it'll be time for me to move on. Those are the types of things that culturally will set the tone for this future. And unfortunately, I think Jack Elliott, when the news came out and we saw the post, I was very sad, but I was not surprised. And I do wish him nothing but the best and hope that he goes, gets paid, gets to have fun. It's the same I wish for Jim Curtin. Go somewhere else where you are valued and you can be a part of a club that's going to invest in the club so you can enjoy playing and enjoy your experiences.
It's funny. It's giving the Union our Toy Story, Ernst Sanders, Andy.
Oh my gosh. So an Andy. I know K-Red and Franco. What's up, guys? As Franco saying, cheap owners decide it's clear that no one on this team likes Ernst. Yeah, it's giving Andy, where after a while the toys just get put to the side with the cobwebs and you only want the new exciting ones. You have to find a way to make everybody, whether it's their first week on the team or 10th year, make them all feel very valued and feel like they have a role. And that's what the better coaches and front offices are able to do. Financially is one start of that, but even how you're having conversations. It should not take months and months for you and Jack Elliott to figure out a deal. That's ridiculous.
No, not at all. And, you know, that's an interesting dynamic I never really thought about is the players versus the GM, obviously in this case, the athletic director. But I mean, I would assume like there's like a respect factor in this. Obviously, like it's hard to like the GM because obviously the GM has to make the tough decisions and they obviously look at you as a business transaction instead of like a human being sometimes. But like, I mean, it's more about the reputation. So like if you are a player and, you know, you're looking for a place to make your mark, you know, is Philly something that you really want to pursue? Because if you do make your mark, you might not get paid or you might not be respected enough. So it is definitely an interesting dynamic. And Michael throwing it going.
No. No. I was laughing. I wasn't going to acknowledge it because no, you did not bring up Leonardo DiCaprio, Michael.
That's wrong, Michael.
There are really, I'm not going to lie though. I've seen this so much in my own career in soccer. There are sadly so many coaches, it's not just soccer, it happens in other sports too, that have this almost obsession with like the new players and forget about everyone else. They don't care about you the same way, you're old news, and it's not a good culture. And it's something that players are very aware of and they know it. And they will take advantage of that and be able to, okay, 3-4 years and then I'm out. So it's not a good way to build any club, especially if you want long-term success. To have this, like, we only care about you when you're the new flashy player. That's the recent signing or recent addition. So, It
is true. Are you Joe Banner versus Howie Roseman? I would have to go with Howie. And you know what? The one thing everyone can learn from Howie Roseman is adaptability. I mean, the man got thrown into a closet on the other side of the NovaCare complex, comes back, and then he puts together a Super Bowl team. Then they have another collapse, puts together another Super Bowl caliber team, have another collapse, and now they have another. Like, it's all about adapting to the game. And for Ernst, it's all about, you know, who's the new young pup who's going to grab eyes from all over the world, who's Manchester City going to be looking at there. And you are right. Like a lot of these GMs, you know, it's kind of like blogging in 2024. Now we're heading into 2025. It's like, what news can I break first for these guys? Yes. What prospect can I break out first? What next star can I show out first and show to the world? That's kind of where we're at right now in 2020.
Yeah, and that's a good point you mentioned, even about the ups and downs. You know, you look at 2022 for the Union getting to the MLS Cup. Most teams, it is so difficult, I should say, to get back to a championship in any league. It's not easy to do. It sometimes typically takes teams 2, 3, 4 years, 10 years. Look at the LA Galaxy. Look how long it took them to get back. It's not easy to do because as you have that successful season, everyone else around the league is bolstering their rosters, making moves, making tweaks, and you have a target on your back. They're making tweaks to beat you. When you get to it, whether you win it or not, getting to the championship, those two teams are the two that everybody wants to beat the next year, to be able to say, hey, we beat the reigning champs or the finalists. So for the Union after 2022, a regression actually made sense. You know, you don't expect them to anybody that says, oh, because they got to the MLS Cup and lost, next year they're going to get there and win. You don't know sports, respectfully. It's really hard to get back. But how do you work through that regression? As you mentioned, the Eagles are a good example. You win a Super Bowl, you're not getting right back to it. It takes a couple years to get back. Then you're losing in the first round, in the wild card round. Then you get back to Super Bowl. Okay, after that, there's another regression. How do you keep battling the ups and downs of year to year? That's the role of the front office. But what you need to be able to do through that is empower your players, be a little bit more aware of what direction the team's going, what are the areas they need. And this team has lacked any awareness, in my opinion. I won't say any. Has lacked some awareness of what makes sense for them, in the sense of you're not bringing in players, you're not paying, you're running it back with the same group, expecting different results, and you're not strengthening the areas of weakness. What we can point to 2024, defense, they struggled. They were scoring goals, but they struggled with the defensive side and their depth. So what will they do this offseason to address those areas? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
move on from Jack Elliott, and who are they going to add and replace him with?
Well, I mean, I think now this Ian Glavenich rumor is definitely gonna. Now, for me, it's like wait until we hear the official tweet that he's officially a member of the Philadelphia Union. Once we heard that rumor, you know, kind of when you're looking at like the makeup of that player, kind of made sense. Like, yeah, Jack is definitely going to be gone.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I also think too that once the Jim news happened, I think that kind of cemented it. Because if you kind of look at this deal that he got from Chicago, obviously we don't have finances yet, but I mean, it's a 1-year deal with an option for a second year. So he's clearly betting on himself. I mean, what is the difference than staying here than it is going to Chicago? And to me, it's just a situation. He doesn't like what's going on here. He doesn't like that they lowballed him after he gave everything to the club. And I think Jim was just a cherry on top. And for him, it just probably didn't feel worth it. In Chicago, I told you once they hired Greg Berhalter, I think that is exactly what they needed, because clearly they do. I think they have ambition, but I think they're lost. Like I just think that Chicago has been lost. And then you get Greg Berhalter, which I know a lot of the U.S. men's national fans still have that sour taste in their mouth from him. But let's not forget, Berhalter was a great MLS manager. I mean, upset in 2017 against Atlanta down in the Bends. That was a great tactical showing from a manager too. So I think Chicago will be back sooner rather than later. And I think having a player like Jack Elliott, like we know he's a good stalwart, and he's a good for implementing that culture that Greg is going to want to build over in Chicago.
And he's someone that with a change of scenery is probably going to thrive. You know, it's probably going to be refreshing to be somewhere different, hear some different voices, some different philosophies, because to your point, with all that, look at how tired we get as hosts of the show, and even for you guys in the chat, how tired do we get of having the same conversations around the Union, the same frustrations, the same shortcomings, the same issues, season after season after season? As a player, that weighs on you even more. You're spending all this time, you're traveling all over the place, you're training all the time, you're away from your family, you're sacrificing your body. Physically, it's demanding, all to have the same exact outcome, all to see the same exact issues. So knowing that Jim Curtin was let go probably was a tipping point for a number of veterans of like, wait a minute, not only are you mistreating and undervaluing me, but what direction are we even going that you're going to get rid of the one guy that everybody did care about and everybody did highly respect, and that got it and was brought in, and that the players could follow suit. So I know we talked about this before. After Jim Curtin, we wondered, what is the next domino? What's the next ripple effect, wave in the ripple effect? Leon Flock, Jack Elliott, you look across the board and slowly there's some names that you're seeing either officially moving or similar to the rumors we've heard, rumored, Kai Wagner, different guys rumored to be on the way out. And so I wouldn't be surprised as we are getting closer and closer to 2025 if next year there's even more. But I do want to take this time. I know we've harped a lot on this. And unfortunately, we will continue to harp a lot on this because I don't think this is going to be the last straw. I think there will be some more names that we're talking about. Today, it's Jack Elliott. Tomorrow, who will it be? But let's take a quick break because we do have to move forward and share a little bit about our friends here at PHLY. All right, let me tell you about the spot you can go to make sure you're physically feeling great. And that's with Rothman Orthopedics. If you have any achy joints, cramping hands, your back's bothering you, whatever you may be dealing with at Rothman Orthopedics, they have specialized care that they've been deeply rooted in for over 50 years. And with their mission, they focus on high quality, compassionate, and affordable care that is rooted in research. And their research leads to new treatments and better outcomes. So the things that I like about Rothman Orthopedics is the fact they've got over 200 fellowship-trained physicians that are specialized in specific areas of the body and a wide range of services. So hips, knees, spines, shoulders, elbows, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine, rehabilitation, orthopedic oncology, trauma and fracture care. And personally, I've had to go to Rothman Orthopedics for my own physical therapy, MRIs, x-rays, because they have that as well as orthotics and bracing. And with their service, they provide a number of different sources for you to go get the support you need. So dozens of locations around Pennsylvania and New Jersey, 30 plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers. So it's easy to find Rothman Orthopedics in this area. And year after year after year, they are consistently performing a high volume of bone replacements, so hip, knee, shoulder, ankle replacements. They also provide a high volume of just treatment of new patients and consults that they work with, and just providing great service and care. So for more than 50 years, they have participated in groundbreaking research, clinical trials, and providing great support and rehabilitation to keep you feeling good. Rothman Orthopedics, which is specialized in orthopedics and you can visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today with Rothman Orthopedics.
I love it. All right, Renee. Well, let's talk about my friends over at Coors Light. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday was the perfect day for some Coors Light. I was down at the shore. We were getting ready for the Puerto Rican Christmas, so that's right. We made some. My wife and my father-in-law and my mother-in-law were making pasteles, coquito, all the good Puerto Rican delights. But of course, it was Sunday. It was football, so I was not really doing much drinking. So while they're doing the coquito, I was like, you know what? I'll pop a Coors Light because why not? It's Eagle Sunday. It's a great matchup. Battle Pennsylvania. So I figured I'll have myself a nice cold Coors Light. So there was no stressing for me as the Eagles took care of business against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think it was safe to say we was chilling. All right. We was definitely chilling. And when the mountains turn blue, ladies and gentlemen, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lager, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a much smoother finish. And when you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is a mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, it's cold out. I'm with you. I don't want to go outside. You don't want to go outside. You don't have to. All you got to do is go to CoorsLight.com/PHLY soccer, and you can get it delivered right to your front door. It's as easy as that, right? Super convenient. That's CoorsLight.com/PHLY soccer. Make sure you guys are choosing chill for your next outing or anytime you're choosing a cold beverage with our friends over at Coors Light. Renee. All right. Let's see what we got here in the chat, Renee. We needed a coach announcement soon. All right. So do you think we get a coach announcement or a player signing first?
Oof.
We have rumors for both.
Well, I don't feel like there's enough rumors for both. Like,
right.
I don't think there's been enough talk and chatter. Granted, the MLS world is unique. Like right now, if I compare it to the Major League Baseball hot stove, it's a lot quieter on that front of typically you hear one or two little things and then the deal is done. You don't have this like heavy trail of media coverage and stuff. But we haven't heard much. I just feel like how do you build a team? How do you bring in players without a coach? What are you pitching them on? What are you sharing with them about? What philosophy are you telling them about? Because you've got no coach to pin it to. So I think if they're realistically going to bring in players that are veterans, because the young players, I think, unfortunately, you're going to bring in those homegrown types of contracts regardless. If you are looking to bring in someone like Ian or another European player, whoever, you're going to need a coach to help be a part of those conversations. So I think it has to be a coach first. What do you think?
I think we're going to Sam Hinkie this, and we're going to get players in before we get a manager. Because what does a manager even matter? It's not like the manager's going to have any say on what the squad's going to look like. This is going to be Ernst's drawing, and obviously the coach is going to have to put the drawing to life. And so I definitely think we're going to get a player signing before we get a coaching signing.
You know what the correct answer is? Can we just get a signing? Let's just start with something. How about C? Take either or. Let's get all of the above. Make it happen ASAP. How soon can we bring a player and a coach in? Because I'm getting nervous. I mean, February will be here before we know it. When they start their like preseason types of Clearwater and Florida training and stuff like that. So I do think you need to take this time now to start integrating any new players, any new coaches. And with every day, you're missing out on that opportunity for them to be having those off-season conversations and lunches and getting to know each other, icebreakers. So I'm going to go with C as my answer of do something ASAP.
Please do something ASAP.
Please.
I'm right there with you. But let's talk real quick, because something you just did hit on, the coverage of the league, and something that I've always told you about, something that's been bothering me about the coverage of our league. And I think the beauty about covering the sport, Renee, especially in this country, is that like our league, our sport is kind of still a baby. And when you consider, like when you compare it to the NFL, the NHL, MLB, NBA, heck, even the leagues around the world when it comes to the sport, we are a baby. We are an infant. So we are still in our growth stage. So Renee, I've always told you I'm very skeptical about Apple TV. I think it's a good product. I really do. But I also told you that we were in a crucial moment after 2022. You just got done the best soccer match of all time in United States soccer history when it comes to club play. And to capitalize on that, they thought the best thing was to move forward to the future with the subscription base for watching the league. So that's when Apple TV came. We saw that was it 2.5 billion, whatever that ridiculous number was, for Apple TV for 10 years to be the service partner. And so after 2 years, we are starting to finally see the downfall, possibly, hopefully, knock on wood, because that's not a good thing, guys. We don't want the downfall of Apple TV, because that's not a good thing. But there's some alarming numbers here, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, because we are finally starting to get some numbers here. So this is the big one for me. Apple TV, and we never had numbers, which was big. Now that we finally do, we can start analyzing this. Apple TV only had 65,000 people watching the MLS Cup final only on Apple TV. That's just Apple TV. For Fox Sports and Fox Deportes, it was about 468,000 viewers. So roughly together, that was around 533,000 people watching the final of the sport.
And repeat the Apple number again, 65?
65,000. I mean, like what? That's like an Eagles Sunday, like on a bad day? On a bad day?
Close.
Against the Panthers, maybe?
I mean, that's significantly less. That's, if I'm doing the math, that's about 8 times more that we're watching the Deportes and Fox Sports broadcast, at least.
Now, you brought up a good point. We did put the final against the SEC championship. There was a bunch of championship games going on in college football. And like, listen, we all know college football is going to dominate MLS soccer. We understand that. Maybe they should have scheduled that. Maybe they should schedule that out a little bit better. But regardless of the point, my concern has always been visibility of the league. We were not in a place like the NFL. Renee, tomorrow the NFL can do an Apple TV type of system and they'll be fine. because there's millions and millions of nuts that will pay whatever money that MLS or the NFL asks them to, and they will pay for it. The MLS does not have that luxury. And the reason why I was skeptical or why I was concerned is because I can only look at this market, the market that I live in. And when you look at this market, Renee, and I mean, if you see something different, please correct me, but I don't hear people saying like, hey, did you watch El Tráfico last week? Or hey, did you watch the Cascadia Cup between Seattle and Portland last week? Like nobody cares about the league anymore. And it's hard for these people to find the games now because you need to go behind a paywall. And unfortunately, people just don't feel the need to pay for that wall in 23 and 24. Now, the numbers last year weren't that bad, and that was a good matchup between LAFC and the Columbus Crew. But this matchup, I mean, I know Poosh was out, but like it was still pretty darn good. There was a lot of good storylines, and including the fact the Galaxy coming back, the Red Bull being back there since the first time since 2008, the two original clubs in the MLS in the final there, and yet people still did not care about it. Like, this is why I am concerned, because in order to grow this sport, you need people to watch. And yes, I understand Messi did inject some life into Apple TV and viewership within the league. But I think we talked about this last week with Lily Beth. Like, what's going to happen when Messi's gone? Like, Messi's not going to play here for 10 plus years. And you got that boost when Messi got here, but you even saw, like, when Messi got eliminated from the playoff, Messi and Miami got eliminated from the playoffs, people really did not care. They did not care about the playoffs as much because of one player in particular. So this is all concerning stuff to me, Renee. Like, where do we go from here?
I mean, I can admit I'm one of the people that deleted my Apple TV subscription as soon as honestly, I deleted it before the playoffs even began. I have no problem in admitting that because I just feel like we pay so much for subscriptions and streaming services these days. It's ridiculous to have to go to this streaming service for this game, Thursday nights on this game, basketball's on this day, soccer's on this game, on this service. It's just too much. And so to add another streaming service, and Apple TV is not as popular as the others. It's growing, but when you think about like Peacock and Prime for football games, okay, there's a good amount of people that will have Peacock, especially. Like, at least they could have launched it. Okay, I'm not even going to say that. Because you know what? Apple TV paid you. They're the ones that took the deal. At least give options to watch games on other platforms more consistently. My issue is not Apple TV specifically. My issues is the exclusivity that Apple TV required, because you got rid of all the local broadcasts, including the ones I was on for the Union. You got rid of all the local broadcasts. You got rid of all the local coverage. You got rid of any other networks. If ESPN, CBS, Fox Sports wants to pick up a regular season game, it doesn't happen. All the games are at the same exact time, 7:30. So you even got rid of those afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock afternoon games. So it just makes it difficult for the average person. I know Mike was saying the average person isn't watching if Messi is involved. To be honest, in general, it's just difficult for the average person to watch because there's all these hoops to jump through just to watch the game. And then even the shows, which I'm fine with the MLS having their own shows and wrap-up shows and studio shows, but if I'm watching the Union play, I don't need to hear a 30-second blurb on the Union and the rest of the show is on the other games because you're just covering the entire league. Where are the specific shows for each game, coverage for each game? That way people can actively tap into whoever they are a fan of. But I think it's almost too diluted and too widespread and generic that it takes away from the true passionate fan that wants to just follow their team. So instead you have to go to, you have to go listen on the radio. You have to maybe go listen across social media. There's too many ways to just try to access coverage, shows, games, broadcasts. And to be honest, I wonder, would Apple TV's first year been as successful without Messi? Think about it. That deal happens off of the backs. As you mentioned, 2022 was a tremendous MLS Cup, and not just because of the Union being in it, but because of the actual game itself. You had more people paying attention and talking about that don't even, maybe they weren't a fan of LAFC or the Union or even a soccer fan, but they're like, whoa, a 3-3 game that went to PKs. Oh my, that's what I want to see. So you had momentum. You had momentum then with Messi. And instead of capitalizing on it and increasing more opportunities for the casual fan to access the game, they limited them. And for whatever reason, the smaller leagues at times try to have these exclusive broadcast deals. The WNBA dealt with it too with their league pass and blackouts. That does not help grow the league. Even if you have to take a step back and you have less financially, but you have more access, in the long run, that investment will play out to allow you to have more fans. You need more eyeballs to get more fans. You need more people paying attention to have them want to buy tickets, buy jerseys, subscribe to MLS, to Apple TV to watch MLS games. But there needs to be steps in between that give them access. So I am a little bit frustrated that they, at the very least, have not provided more coverage. There hasn't been more outside of just Apple TV to give access. And I wouldn't be surprised if without Messi, Apple TV, unfortunately, was not a good deal in 2023, and definitely 2024.
All right, I have some more numbers here for you guys.
Oh,
all right,
boy.
so the 2022 MLS Cup that we're talking about, this is insane, Renee. 2.15 million viewers, both on Fox and Univision. That's crazy. That's a lot of eyeballs. That was the most viewed MLS Cup final in MLS Cup history. So in the article that I got a lot of this information from, this is all from the Sports Business Journal. So this is also more alarming. You were talking about those other leagues. So the USL Championship game on CBS this past year, 431,000 viewers on CBS. That is a
great
little
game too.
Yeah, and that was just a little bit more than the MLS Cup final that was on Fox. On Fox this year, they had 427,000. And then, of course, a league that you know very well, Renee, the NWSL title game that also aired on CBS. 967,900, nearly doubled on the local broadcast there.
And leading up to the championship for the NWSL, and of course the day of, CBS had a ton of different coverage, shows, interviews, all this content that was put out around it that you could access for free between social media and between CBS. And then they also had other networks that were doing the same. And the NWSL has ESPN games, Ion games, CBS games. I think the MLS has to take a page out of their book and even other leagues. The USL is on Peacock. The USL has literal games that you can access right on Peacock. So you need to find a way to give more access for more viewership.
That is correct. So just like to put it in perspective, so if you don't have MLS Season Pass and you did want it, if you want to do a monthly subscription, it's $14.99 per month. So you also do get the Apple TV with that too. So you can watch all the other programming that Apple TV has on top of all the MLS games and the production stuff that they have there as well. If you just wanted to pay it for the year, it's $99 you have to pay that up front. So like I that's why I shared my screen to kind of show you what Apple TV kind of looks like, because like I had this conversation too when this news was announced back in 2022. Like, is it worth it? Like, is it necessarily worth having this? Like, is the product they're giving us worth $15 a month? Is it worth the $100 a year? I've always said this. Like, I think Apple TV is kind of like missing out on a couple things. I think like creating content for the MLS is not very hard. I feel like. Yeah. I mean, like one thing that was super easy that I feel like they could have done. Like, I do like the pregame shows they have, like Sean Bradley Phillips and Sasha Kleshin and all that. But like, put them out there in the parking lot at the tailgate of the biggest match of the week. Like, if it's El Tráfico, put them in freaking California. Put them within the tree.
The studio.
Yes. Like,
or at least have someone there. Because the NFL does that with Maria Taylor. They're usually in studio, and then they have like Tony and the different guys that are out at the game. Like, at least have somebody there.
You need to create an experience, Renee. Like like going to MLS matches, and like a lot of people can tell you the same thing, especially people who've never been into soccer, whatnot. They go down to Chester, they go down to Harrison, they go down to Foxborough, whatever it may be. It's a different experience. And it's so simple, yet they don't think about this, right? Like having debate shows. One thing I used to love with NFL Network, they used to have like the top 10. They would have like the top 10
Yep.
college powerhouse, top 10 quarterbacks, like do different stuff like that. There's so much different type of content they could be doing that could make it worth paying for this service there. And real quick, to everyone who is watching right now on TV, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. If you want to continue watching us, we're on YouTube and we're also on allphly.com, so you can watch more of PHLY Union podcasts. But yeah, Renee, I like the thing is that this is going to hurt our growth of the league. And this is important for us because like the thing is like Renee, like we want this league to continue growing. We want people to have jobs in this league. We want the quality of the league to get better as well. If people are not watching the league, these things will not happen. And I've had this conversation online, and I'm not saying like we are far from the days where we're like in 2002, where the league is about to dissolve and the league has to fold the Miami Fusion and Tampa Bay Mutiny because we are about to fold as a league. Like we're gone from those days, but like still, like if you think about where we were in 2022, like we were legitimately like, and there was research behind this. We were the fourth most popular league in this country. And we were well on our way to competing with baseball. And now baseball in 2024, they have solidified their role. They might even take over the NBA, though they had such a good year this past year. And so like the MLS, they need to, and I think they are talking about making a lot more games accessible, especially on cable or people who watch cable. So that will be big. But like this is something simple that we can help ourselves by creating more of an awareness and having more eyeballs on the league.
Yeah. Honestly, it could be as simple as every week there's going to be 1 or 2 games that are accessible outside of Apple TV. Like you just need to give people an appetite for it. You have to get them a chance to see what the product is. Why would I pay for Apple TV if I'm a casual fan? I know like K-Red, you're a great example because you're not the biggest soccer person, but you jump into the show, you listen, you're learning, and now it makes you want to come back. You know, why would somebody just jump into and pay for Apple TV, not knowing if they're going to enjoy it, if they're going to care, if they're going to want to watch it? Who am I a fan of? Who do I want to watch? So you have to give them appetizers, small snackable bites of like, here's why you should tune in. That's why they should be doing more on social. So overall, the league has so much talent, so many great names you're bringing into it. But when you think about Premier League, Champions League, other leagues, why is it that they have such a bigger following? You can literally watch anywhere in the world, any time of day, a game in a European league. You can follow, you're getting more of the access. You're getting more of the personality and getting to know the players and being able to connect with them. So the league has to, if you want to really model to be able to be a top league, not only in this United States, but in this world, you have to give people a chance to learn you, to want to follow you, and to get to know you. So yes, I know Michael, you've been saying pave the lots. There are little things they could do too, but bigger picture, just give people access so they can have an appetite for wanting to watch more MLS. Everything, the coverage, the games, the updates, reading the articles, whatever it may be.
I 100% agree with you. We'll see what happens. I guess we will revisit this in another year here, but Apple TV, you got some work to, or as I lost another light, MLS, you got some work to do. I'm losing all these lights. I got to figure out the situation in this new office that I have here. But
I love that for you. You'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Apple TV will figure it out, and maybe the union will figure it out.
A lot of question marks is what we got from this show. Love that. No certainty. A lot of question marks.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at PHLY Union. Great show, great conversations. Thank you so much for tuning on in and providing into that discussion as well. Guys, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts, Apple, Google, and Spotify. You can find us under PHLY Union Podcast. We would truly appreciate you hit that like for free. We're not charging you. There's not $15 a month for this. This is absolutely free, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely check it out. Make sure you guys hit that like button. That's also free, not only for our show, but for all the great shows that we have here at PHLY Sports. We'll be back next week. I'm sure Renee will have some fun Christmas stuff. We'll have to figure out the episode as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, we won't be back next Tuesday, though, because we're off for Christmas Eve. So we're probably back on Monday Fun Day for a Christmas edition.
I'm in. I am completely in. So for Andrew Frazier behind the glass, Renee Washington, of course, I am JP Zapata, and we're telling you guys to do bon. We will talk to you very, very soon. See you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.